There's a teaser for ReZero that I think about a lot. Maybe too much. On surface level, it's not anything special. But at the end, we get a beautiful rendition of one of Subaru and Emilia's earliest interactions. It flashes, and the scene has been transformed into a mural. This very special, intimate moment between our characters has been memorialized. Except, that moment never happened. Or at least, no one remembers it did. Natsuki Subaru is a 17-year-old boy who went to the convenience store to buy some snacks, only to find himself summoned to another world. He's saved by a girl named Emilia, and he feels indebted to her because of this. He also falls in love with her because he's a 17-year-old boy. While trying to help her, the both of them are killed, and he finds out that he has the ability to revert to an earlier point in time every time he dies. He returns by death multiple times so that he can save her life. Eventually, he ends up working in her mansion, where he meets the twin maids, Rem and Ram, and starts making strides in his relationship with Emilia. But something, or someone, keeps killing him at the end of the week. So he relives this 1 week in the mansion over and over again, until he can figure out the culprit. And surprise, it's Rem, one of the maids. As she tortures him, he begs and pleads with her, bringing up all the moments they shared together in their time at the mansion. She coldly replies,
"I have no memory of any of that."
And he screams out,
"Why? Why don't you remember?"
See, Subaru has spent multiple weeks getting to know Rem and her sister. Rem barely spent one with him. He understands this. His question is purely out of desperation and frustration with this fact. What we're witnessing is the conflict between his individual memory and the collective memory. Individual memory containing all of Subaru's experiences as an individual throughout all of the loops he went through, and collective memory containing only the final sequence of events that everyone else remembers, what quote-unquote actually happened. And yes, individual and collective memory are real terms that mean something a little different in reality, but listen, coming up with new terms to describe fictional scenarios is hard, so I'll just co-opt these for now. In his individual memory, he becomes acquainted with these girls, but because time resets when he dies, in the collective memory, that never happened. This is something that comes as a result of a lot of time travel stories, but ReZero captured me with it because it really explores memory and the burden of remembering much more in depth. The discrepancy between his individual memory and the collective memory is something that starts to strain his personal relationships. In one of my favorite scenes, Subaru and Emilia get into an argument as a result of his childish and selfish behavior. There is a lot going on in the scene, but I want to hone in on one thing in particular. He tries to rationalize his behavior to Emilia, saying he did it all for her, which prompts her to yell out, yes, Subaru is lashing out because of his pride and his ego. But it's also because he's forced to reconcile two incompatible truths in his head. To Natsuki Subaru, the first time he met Emilia, she saved his life. But to her and everyone else, the first time they met was when he helped save hers. He feels connected to her based on something that never actually happened.
You don't even realize how the things you've done for me have saved me over and over.
Because of the witch's influence, he's also prevented from explaining this to her. But even if he wasn't, could anyone really understand that feeling without experiencing it? Let's not forget, that's also the time when Subaru believes he met the love of his life. Imagine having this monumental moment in your life scrubbed from existence. No one remembers it, but you. I think that's bound to make anyone break. There was a mobile game called Lost in Memories that featured an alternate route for the main story, where instead of returning to the mansion after the witch cult attack, Subaru listens to Rem's request for him to live. In this timeline, he spends 20 years training and tracking the witch cult so he can finally enact his revenge on Betelgeuse. 20 years! He's a shell of his former self, but he needs closure. And he gets it. He finally kills Betelgeuse. In the process, he dies as well. But it's a fate he's already accepted. Then he wakes up. He wakes up in the body of his 17-year-old self in the streets of the capital with Rem beside him. It takes him a while to fully understand what happened. He returned by death. He just lost 20 years of his life, 20 years erased in an instant. He experiences a psyche break and lashes out at Rem. How could she? This is all because of her. 20 years of redundant suffering because she asked him to live. But she never did. He's back before that ever happened. But how could you possibly put aside 20 years of real feelings, of real experiences, real memories? This was honestly hard for me to watch, even for ReZero. With this concept being so instrumental, it's not a surprise that one of the many antagonists of the series is gluttony, whose ability is to erase people from the collective memory and to rob people of their own memories. When gluttony strikes Rem, her existence is expunged from everyone's memories. No one has a single idea who she is. Well, everyone but Subaru, that is. He even kills himself over it, knowing full well that he'd have to redo the progress he's made, thinking he might be able to save her from that fate. It doesn't work. He's once again forced to bear the burden of remembering what no one else does. It's now Subaru's responsibility to keep the memory of Rem alive, even to her own sister. It seems cruel to stick all this on one person. This series may be about restarting from zero, but here's the thing. Natsuki Subaru never really restarts from zero, because he always carries the memories of past loops with him. And as terrible of a burden that is, it's also what empowers him. He makes mistakes over and over again and pays the price with his life. But he learns from those mistakes, and his growth carries over because he remembers what happened. If he didn't, he'd be stuck in a never-ending death loop. In that extreme example with Lost in Memories, Subaru had 20 years of his life wiped from existence, now relegated to his memory and only his. And he's heartbroken about it. But also, he comes to realize that he now has a chance to be a better person. Subaru selfishly took advantage of people like Beatrice and Ferris to achieve his goal. He's always going to remember what he did, and that's why he vows to do better. Emilia has her early traumatic memories locked away because of her contract with Puck. This boils over when she has to undertake Echidna's trial, where she's unable to face her past, and therefore, unable to grow and develop as a person. It's only when that hold is released that Emilia is able to succeed. ReZero argues that your memories are core to your identity and your development. There's a very popular fanfic called Watching Him Die and Die Again that involves the rest of the ReZero characters being forced to watch the series so that they can understand what Subaru has gone through. Its quality is up to the reader. It's fanfiction. I'm bringing it up because the reason it's so popular gets to the heart of something really important about the series. ReZero is all about learning to rely on others instead of forcing yourself to go through something alone.
Why don't you ever try and accept help from someone? Just tell me to believe every single word, because that's what friends do!
Right now, Subaru is forced to hold all these contradictory truths at once, all by himself. Unless that changes, that will always be painful, and he'll continually be misunderstood. I'm sure his friends will eventually learn that he can return by death, but I don't think that's enough. There's a huge catharsis in others seeing those experiences, having all those lost memories be validated. I don't know if the series will ever fully have closure unless his friends become privy to what he has, somehow. People like watching him die and die again because they really want that burden to be lifted from Subaru alone. They want the others to know what he's gone through, and to truly understand him. Let's circle back to that mural from the teaser. Knowing the context from the series and what this moment means turns this simple teaser into something more profound. It memorializes a moment from a world line that no longer exists, something that's become a source of immense suffering for Subaru, and yet it also carries a glimmer of hope with it. I think it's interesting that the mural is on the wall of some kind of church. It treats the moment with religious reverence. We never even see a cross anywhere in this series but here. This lost memory is treated as something sacred. If we were to take this as literal, which I don't think it is, the only one who could have made this mural is Subaru, who is immortalizing a precious memory erased from the world. That's what Subaru does, right? Keep all those lost memories, lessons, people, alive. The series, albeit slowly, is building up Subaru as a sort of messiah figure. He comes from another realm and helps to rid the world of sins. He dies for the sake of others. The Season 3 poster even shows him walking on water. Am I saying Subaru is Jesus Christ? Yeah, pretty much. Yet the series is also an exploration on the negative effects of having a savior complex, and constantly emphasizes that self-sacrifice is often misguided and based on pride. Subaru has to learn that enduring suffering alone is toxic, and to share those burdens with the support system around him, his friends. The burden of remembering is devastating, but it's a burden that he's accepted. I just hope that by the end of the series, he isn't alone in carrying that burden. If you want to see more content like this, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I am just getting started, but I still have a lot more to say about ReZero. Thanks for watching.